I hereby reconvene the February 25th, 2014 meeting of the Marion County School Board at 6:02. Good evening. For the courtesy of those listening to the meeting, I'm requesting everyone in the audience, please turn off your cell phone or put them on vibrate. Ms. Judy Sonetti, Public Education Foundation Officer, is here to introduce our school-related Employee of the Year, who will provide the inspiration and lead us in the pledge this evening. Ms. Sonetti.
Thank you, Mr. James. Good evening, Mr. Tommen and board members. I'm so proud and privileged to be able to introduce you tonight to Mrs. Norma Hunte. I believe all of the board members were at the School-Related Employee of the Year luncheon, where we found out that Mrs. Hunte from College Park Elementary is Marion County's 2014 School-Related Employee of the Year. As you know very well, in a district as large as ours, it certainly takes a village of people to make sure that our students have everything they need. We have those that deliver our students to school and home safely, those that provide them nutritious meals, those that make sure their schools are clean and safe, and those like Mrs. Hunte that work with those students that need a little extra attention, a little extra encouragement, and a little extra love. Mrs. Norma Hunte from College Park Elementary.
Good evening, Mr. Tom, Mr. James, and the Board of Education, and the board members, and everyone present. Good evening. Okay, to be named School-Related Employee of the Year is definitely an honor. It means that we, not only ESOL, but all paraprofessionals are being recognized for the things we do to make our English language learners and students that are struggling academically to become successful learners. We do this by working side by side with the teachers and students, assisting and guiding them to understand the teachers' instructions and providing any sort of help they need in seat work, activities, or homework. We serve as liaisons between school personnel and family in a verbal and written communication, and beside all of this, we perform related activities assigned by our administrations. As you can realize, we are all multitasking professionals. We can do anything. Working as an ESOL paraprofessional made me realize how much I love to help and be around children. A reminder of my maternal role, bringing up three wonderful sons. Their presence, or my students feel this presence. However, children sometimes can be difficult, as parents can affirm, okay? But with patience, love, and understanding, we can get them to do anything. I love to see them joyful, especially when they learn something special. The sparkle in their eyes and that smile of satisfaction, boy, it fills me with delight. My goal each day is to make education or learning fun and also be part and also make a difference in their life. After all, we know they are the future of our country, and it's a pleasure of me being part of it. Thank you. And now please stand up for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Hunt, before you get away now, I think the entire board had an opportunity to see you receive your award. And I just would like to say on behalf of the board and all the kids over at College Park that you serve and all the extra things that you do, we are very proud to have you as an employee of the Marion County school system. And it's my understanding you're working for your teaching certificate, is that correct?
Yes, I know.
That's great.
And we look forward to the day when we can look out there and see you as a teacher impacting the lives of our students. Thank you again. Give another round of applause.
Congratulations.
Mr. Superintendent.
Mr. Chairman, with the exception of consent agenda item C20, which has been withdrawn entirely from the agenda, I recommend approval of the agenda for the February 25th, 2014 school board meeting with the materials in the board packet, those materials distributed to board members at the meeting, the audio recording and DVD included as part of the official record of the meeting.
May I have a motion on the superintendent's recommendation? A motion and a second.
So moved. Second.
It was moved by Mrs. Ely, second by Mrs. Boynton. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Whoa.
Now they're ready.
Can you go now?
There we go. Now we're going.
Get to go back.
Mr. James got it signed off.
Okay, what do we got in?
Mr. James. I did too,
Okay, and go ahead and sign, go ahead and vote. The motion passed 5-0. Let me see if I can get back. Technical problems, people.
I know,
Technical.
sorry. What about now, Mr. James?
Try now. He's not quite signed on yet.
I'm disconnected. Go ahead and I'll let you know. I don't want to hold it up. Okay. The motion passed 5-0. May I have a motion to approve the minutes for the January 23rd, 2014 administrative briefing and work session and the January 28th, 2014 school board meeting? May I have a motion and a second?
So moved. Second.
It was moved by Mrs. Ely, second by Mrs. Boynton. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Seeing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion passed. You got it in? 5-0. As soon as I get a break, I'll get back on.
Okay.
Ms. Dana Absher, Supervisor of Alternative Program, please come forward and introduce the 2012-2013 PBS model school.
Thank you, Mr. James. It's my honor tonight to bring to you 3 of our school teams that have done an exemplary job with implementation of school-wide positive behavior support. And what that entails is really a devotion to ensuring a safe and orderly school campus where learning can take place and where students do feel secure and good about where they are and about their learning experience. These schools have done an exemplary job in many areas. There are 10 critical elements that really are kind of the pillars of positive behavior support, and that involves these teams looking at their data, determining where problems are, and really problem-solving issues and trying to be proactive in teaching students expectations. So I'd like to call up all of our positive behavior support teams. We have Emerald Shores Elementary, South Ocala Elementary, and Ocala Springs Elementary. And we've got banners for them. Emerald Shores was actually recognized last year, so they get a new year to put on their banner. And then we have a banner for South Ocala. This is the South Ocala banner, and if you guys want to open that up, you can share what that looks like. And here's the banner for Ocala Springs. And I'd like to call up Miss McKee, if you'd like to introduce your team. Okay. You can multitask.
I'm Penny McKee from K-12 Academic Services, and I'm the former principal of Ocala Springs. And our current PBS team at Ocala Springs, Principal Tracy Crawford, Assistant Principal Charlotte Bila, Dean is Donnie Manning, and teacher, 3rd grade teacher, Danielle Borth.
And sorry to
That's
interrupt.
okay.
Ms. Borth, if you don't mind coming up, she's got a few things to share with you about a teacher's perspective of positive behavior support.
Hello, you guys know this. Hi guys. The PBS program is so effective at Ocala Springs due in part to our school-wide expectations, the 4 Rs. These are posted everywhere, in every classroom, in the hallway, even in the restrooms. Students are encouraged to follow the 4 Rs. As Mr. Manning says, if you follow the 4 Rs, you're guaranteed to have a great day. And their encouragement is through Panther Bucks. Their Panther Bucks are earned, and they accumulate them over the month, what they're highly encouraged to do. And then they get to visit the Panther store, which is a real honor. They get to buy games, toys, and books, which is highly encouraged by the teachers. And through the 4 Rs implementation, students are able to reflect on what's expected of them, and when they maybe make a choice that's not the school-wide expectation, we discuss with them, does this follow the 4 Rs? What can we do better? To basically give them the opportunity to correct that behavior before it escalates to something more. So through the PBS program, we try to get the students to take responsibility for their own behavior and know their expectations.
Thank you. I'd like to call Ms. Coy to come up and introduce her team.
Good afternoon. From South Ocala, I am the current principal, but I would be remiss to not acknowledge Ms. Burgess, who was the principal last year. She's been out on medical leave. But we have joining our team, we'll start from the left to the right, the AP, which is Ms. Giverson, Leanne Giverson, our current dean, which is Brian Lane, our past dean, Elias Post, and our classroom teacher, 2nd grade, Marion Lamb. So we are extremely pleased to receive this honor from last year.
And Ms. Lamb, if you don't mind saying just a few words. And this is, again, a teacher who's been part of the PBS team for quite some time.
Okay, as with Ocala Springs, we have our expectations that are school-wide. We have the 3 Bs, which are be respectful, be responsible, and be engaged. We also have a buzz buck instead of the Panther buck that we use, and we have a school store. We have dances, we have movie times, we have snack time, just hang out with your friend for a few minutes, just different activities that the students are allowed to purchase with their buzz bucks. I've been on the team since we started it at South Ocala back 4 years ago. We've officially been doing it now right at 3 years. The first year I was a 4th grade teacher, and we piloted it in the lunchroom only with the 4th graders because we were having major behavior issues at lunchtime. The first week we saw dramatic changes, and over time those behaviors have improved so much that we don't really have a big issue in the lunchroom anymore. Students are given immediate rewards that they can use for the BuzzBuck store or the other things, and they are given that positive reinforcement on a regular basis. If you have a child that is unruly at any point in time, if you start giving out BuzzBucks to those students who are doing the right thing, their behavior automatically changes because they want to get those BuzzBucks as well. The other positive thing is math related. My students in 2nd grade are not coming in with math skills, but now at this time of year, they have the math skills necessary to move on to 3rd grade. And that comes from learning how to manage their money with the BuzzBucks.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Kenny or Ms. Hoppel would like to speak on behalf of Emerald Shores.
Hi there. My name is Heath Kenny. I'm the current assistant principal at Fort King Middle School, assistant principal of discipline. I was the former dean at Emerald Shores for 3 years. Within my 2nd year, we started PBS at Emerald Shores, and I can't say enough positive things. I can tell you in the 3 years that I was there with our PBS team, the referrals went down by 47%, so it was pretty significant, and I don't know what else to contribute to other than PBS. It played a big part in Emerald Shores while I was there. So I am very proud for the 2nd year in a row that Emerald Shores is a model school. Thank you very much.
Thank you all, and congratulations.
Dr. Hampshire, how many years have we been doing this now? Give us
Our first group of schools were trained in the summer of 2007. And that was the first, I think we had 3 schools at that time that sent teams through training. And now we are at the point that it's really just the way of the work. It's not a program, it's not anything you purchase, it's just a philosophy that as educators, it's our job to teach students the expectations so that they can be successful in school, and then turn that over into the community and give them those skills that they need for life to be good citizens.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Make a comment?
Yes.
I love the teacher's comment, the second grade teacher in the cafeteria, you know, if there's some unruly kids, rather than doing anything with them, start passing out those bucks to the kids who are, you know, behaving, and those unruly kids will want to earn a buck too. So that's the way to bring them in.
Yeah, it's
corral
quite
them.
an important teaching tool.
Right,
you know,
right,
and then
focusing on the positive rather than something else, but
Yes, ma'am.
sounds like they're doing good.
Okay,
Thank you.
Ms. Julie Shealy, Executive Director of the School Development and Evaluation, please come forward to recognize the sponsor of the Realtor Teacher Mini Grant Program. Ms. Shealy.
Good evening, Chairman James and board members. I am thrilled to be able to share with you tonight that we have a wonderful group of realtors who have the Ocala-Marion County Association of Realtors, who over the past 10 years have supported our teachers directly in the classroom by offering them some mini grants. So tonight with us we have Charlotte Axelson, who is the chair of the Community Awareness. Would you please come up? And John as well, because they'd like to present to you the check for over $3,000 this year. And I'd also like Charlotte to say a few words. And I know as the former principal of Osceola Middle School, I know that several teachers over the years have received these mini grants of money that goes directly into the classroom. So congratulations and thank you for doing this for us.
Well, as she said, I'm here on behalf of the Ocala-Marion County Association of Realtors and the Realtors with a Heart Community Awareness Committee. And we've been doing this since 2003. And the teachers write in directly to us, to our committee, and ask for the mini grants for all kinds of different things that they feel that they need. And then our committee sits there and takes a lot of time reviewing all the applications, and we base it on the most amount of students that will be affected, and also if it's sustainable so that it could be maybe repeated over several years, so that it really does give the maximum benefit for the most amount of students. We've given over the years over $30,000 in support to our local teachers and students, and we certainly, our goal is to continue to do this in the future. And we're currently giving $3,000 annually, and we divide it equally amongst the elementary, middle, and high schools. And just a few quick examples of some things that have been given over the years are science experiment probes, flash drives, learning games, outdoor gardens, and books, and personal video recorders, and media center equipment, and a lot of other things. So there are things that are really great tools for the teachers to use for the students. So we're really happy to present this money to the Ocala County School, Marion County School Board.
Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Thank you. We don't need to keep that. This is our verification of the picture.
Okay. Board, Mr. Crawford, you have anything?
Well, just, ma'am, how large are the grants?
They can vary. There's some that apply for $50 for
Okay.
flash drives, and
Okay.
like I said, sometimes they apply for very small amounts, like $40, $50 for flash drives or something specific that they need for their classroom, and sometimes we've had requests for $3,000, which of course we can't give because we divide it up, but so they vary greatly depending. Somebody wanted to build a whole science lab, for instance, so.
But we have given $400 and $500 grants in certain cases. Thank you very much.
I just want to just say this to you now. Your grants really mean a lot to our teachers, and the money that they get into the classroom really aid them in providing another opportunity for these young people. So we, again, on behalf of the board and all the students, thanks for a job well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. May I have a motion to adopt a proclamation recognizing the month of March as Music in Our School Month? May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
The motion by Mr. Crawford, and the second by Mrs. Boynton. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion passed 5-0. Ms. Needham, Coordinator of Library Media Services, please come forward for the reading and the presentation of the proclamation. Ms. Needham.
Am I supposed to read it, Mr. Christian?
I believe so.
Okay. You usually do.
Second shelf.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ms. Needham, before you read it, am I seeing art people out there?
Yes, and the reason why you are is because art and music join together for this month, because it's also Youth Art Month, and so we just kind of support each other.
So can we bring them up?
Okay. All
Yep.
art teachers and music teachers, if you'll come out with me.
Come on up.
You can bring the
Make
kids,
it, the more the
yes.
merrier. Bring them all in. Bring them all in.
Turn into a car.
Is this everybody? Okay. Whereas the study of music contributes to young people's development through heightened skills in listening, reading, self-expression, and creativity, and whereas music education in the schools includes a broad range of types of music and active musical experiences, and whereas music and the other arts significantly enhance the morale and quality of the school environment, and whereas it is the stated objective of the Marion County Public Schools to prepare children for a productive role in our society, and whereas the National Association for Music Education has designated March as Music in Our Schools Month, focusing on the theme, Music Lasts a Lifetime. And whereas the School Board of Marion County, Florida endorses the observance of Music in Our Schools Month in grades K through 12 as an opportunity to support the purposes and practices of music education and encourages teachers, parents, students, and all citizens to participate. Now therefore be it proclaimed, the School Board of Marion County, Florida recognizes the month of March 2014 to be Music in Our Schools Month.
Once again, congratulations. Well, I think that would be appropriate. Since we, okay, now, I got an art man back there. And are you gonna draw the flag for us? No, we're ready to go. The Star Spangled Banner, let's hear it.
Should we stand up? Yeah.
Stand.
And you are more than welcome all to join us.
Say, can you see by the dawn's
I just want to say, if you missed the show out at the Golden Apple Award, we did have another opportunity to see your talents as a music teacher come forward, so thank you. Board, thank you once again.
Thank
and
you.
we recognize it as that.
We appreciate your support in this proclamation.
Thank you. May I have a motion to adopt the revised board policy 8.54, naming and renaming of the district facilities? May I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Do I get a second?
Second.
Okay, it was moved by Ms. Boynton and was second by Ms. Stacy. Mr. Superintendent.
The board policy has been revised to more accurately and clearly outline the guidelines regarding the naming or renaming of district facilities.
I declare a public hearing. Is there anyone present who wishes to address the board, on this revised board policy? Ann?
Marguerite Kavanaugh.
How many do we have?
Good evening. Glad to be here. I'm Marguerite Kavanaugh, and I'm Vice President of Florida Eagle Forum, as well as President of the local chapter of Eagle Forum.
We need your address, Ms.
Sir?
Your address, please.
Yes, sir. 7545 Southwest 86th Lane, Ocala, 34476.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm also president of the local chapter of Eagle Forum, which meets every third Thursday at 6 p.m. at the Ocala Main Library. I think it would be a positive move. I've talked to Mrs. Stacy and some others about naming a building, to approve the naming of a building for the Marion County School Board members who so boldly voted to end segregation in Marion County schools. I think it would be a great move, a good thing, to add such recognition in this Black History Month of 2014 by naming the building after the responsible board members collectively. I believe it's going to be called the Darth Building. Is that correct? It is part of the Marion County history, and it should be for everyone to remember and for all students to learn and be taught. And it's also a lesson in the importance of elected officials standing up for what's right in the face of adversity. Thank you.
Anyone else? No. Do we have anyone else like to speak on this issue? Okay. Board, any discussion?
I do have some discussion.
Ms. Stacy.
I've read the policy, and I support parts of the policy, but I'm concerned that if we go on with the policy so long, and I did speak to everyone at a workshop meeting once about amending it, and everyone was in a hurry, and so we ended the workshop meeting. I didn't get to finish talking about what I wanted to talk about, but I like the idea of having the endowments, Mrs. Boynton, and where, you know, people in the community, I'm a conservative, I'm all for people, you know, paying to have things named, but I have a problem with naming things. I don't want this body to become a place where grieving families come, and I have a problem with naming, with this becoming a body where business is not taken care of, and we're spending so much time deciding, because there's probably half the people in this room would meet the criteria that we've established in a board policy that we're about to approve, that would, that could have a building named after them. And I just feel like we have the business of educating children to take care of. So I would like to amend the policy
and I've listened to a couple of people who have spoken to me in the community. The president of the Marion County Tea Party spoke with me about ideas that he had, Mrs. Kavanaugh and others in the community, about maybe another idea we might consider. Through all of the discussions that have taken place over many, many months, and I've heard the different concerns and the things, you know, about naming a building after a certain employee that was here for many, many years. And our board policy, where we require that the person be deceased for 10 years, is a good policy. Because that policy was put into place a long time ago, because it did become kind of political when we've named some buildings after people that were living. But in the conversations, I felt strongly about something that some of Mr. Dunwoody's friends spoke about, and Mr. James, you spoke about, Mrs. Boynton, where Mr. Dunwoody was our superintendent in the 1960s. We had 3 school board members that bravely voted to end segregation. That was an incredible time in our country. I would like to amend our policy so that we could name buildings, not with the, maybe take part of Mrs. Boynton's policy and maybe alter it a little bit. Instead of naming buildings like people who pay for endowments, you know, if they're living, if they want to pay money, $100,000 to name a school wing or something like that. I'm really not for building, you know, the school itself. I'm thinking libraries, school buildings, and maybe ball fields, but not schools. I believe that, I don't believe that's appropriate. But I would like to ask this board to consider the naming of the Marion County School Board, the Dalton Building, the Dunwoody, Anderson, Lane, Turner Building, in memory of a time that has passed. Our founding fathers, many of them, you know, I read a lot of things that they talk about, and if we forget our history, we're bound to relive it. And I don't believe anything has been, and the Tea Party, the president of the Tea Party came to me with a very strong opinion about this, that he was very, very interested in naming something on the this side of 441 in recognition of a time that has passed, but a time that will be forever with us. And so many wonderful things happened when those 4 brave people voted the way they did. And right now, the only things that remind us of black educators are on the west side of town, so far as I know. I don't know of anything on this side of 441. And since this was a landmark decision where education changed forever for America and hundreds of thousands of students in Marion County that will come through this school system. This is the landmark building of education in Marion County, the Marion County School Board building. And so what my policy that I would like to amend, my first amendment, Mrs. Boynton, would be that school boards can name ball fields, school libraries, and other buildings, excepting the schools themselves, for individuals through endowments to raise money for public schools. I thought that was a wonderful idea that you had, to raise money for our school system. But my second amendment to our current school board policy would be the DALT amendment, which would stand for Dunwoody, Anderson, Lane, and Turner Amendment, which allows school board, our future school boards, to name buildings, ball fields, and school libraries, not schools themselves, after Marion County residents, living or deceased, who deserve recognition for an event so historical that this event could be incorporated into our history curriculum in Marion County schools. I feel like there just comes a time where we have to make landmark decisions in concrete. And I would like my board members to talk to me about that.
Okay, now, what I'm hearing is that you have a motion to name this building. Okay, you want to add a motion to this now because,
What I want to do is amend the policy that we're talking about. I want to go back to the original school board policy, where buildings will not be named after anyone unless they are deceased for 10 years. Keep that policy in place with amendments that through endowments, my first amendment, I will read it again. School boards can name ball fields, school libraries, and other buildings, excepting schools themselves, for individuals through endowments to raise money for public schools, whether living or deceased. My second amendment to the current school board policy is that we will have the DALT amendment. This amendment allows the school board to name buildings, ball fields, and school libraries, but not schools themselves, after Marion County residents, living or deceased, who deserve recognition for an event so historical, that is the key, so historical, that this event could be incorporated into our history curriculum in Marion County schools, so that we will not have this building filled with sad grieving families coming through here at school board meetings. And I believe that the debate that has come through here, and Mrs. Boynton, your idea about the endowments, a way to generate additional dollars may or may not happen, but for every dollar we receive, it would be appreciated. But we would leave our current school naming policy as it is, where you are deceased, 10 years, before you come before us to name a school. But these amendments, and maybe I need to pass them down or something, Mr. James.
we need to, first of all, we need to get a second on that.
Can I make a motion?
Right, you made a motion, Emma.
Okay.
You've made a motion that we change the board policy back and add,
A couple of amendments that
And add
would
a couple of
actually take care of address the issue that this all began with in a little different way, but would also incorporate our endowment program also. But it would take away, there's so much in the policy where we could name them and you had to have 5 criteria, and there's so much language in this policy that we're looking at tonight that anyone in the school district basically would be eligible to come before the school board to have a building named after them.
okay, what I'm looking at here is we have a motion to, you bringing a motion to change the policy,
Keep
back.
the current policy.
Keep the current
With just a
policy.
couple of amendments.
Okay, but we all,
Incorporate Mrs. Boynton's ideas.
no, I'm having a hard time with this one back
You
here.
have a motion on the floor.
Yeah.
That, of the publicized
Board,
changes that you have workshopped a number of times. And you have a second for that, and now we're in discussion.
right. Okay, now, but Miss, what I'm hearing, you want to add, you want to bring up another motion to this.
And part of this second amendment that I would be adding would be the DALT building, the DALT amendment, and the Marion County School Board building. This was a landmark decision in Marion County in the 1960s, and I would like to see the Marion County School Board building, the DALT building.
Okay, now, I would really not, and this is just part of the discussion, I really want to try and bring some kind of closure to this. Okay, now, I understand that you got a few people, and you talked with a few people about what happened here. But let me just enlighten people that really don't know. I was on both sides of this thing. I was over at Howard High School, and I had the opportunity to teach at Forest High School during the era, on both ends of it. I understand that we have some people out there that really feel that whatever you're saying in terms of the DALT building and all those wonderful things occurred. But I will tell you right now, what happened in this town, from my view as a teenager and my view as a person that was a teacher at Forest High School. The people, the person that came over to Howard High School and met with the people in West Ocala was Mac Dunwoody. Okay, now, whether the board was there or whatever, when it come to people standing up on this, on the east side of town, it was McDunwoody. And I just want all of people, stop pretending all of this. If you would have asked me, I would have told you guys, I would have said to you how important it is for us to stop whitewashing things. You had one person that people stood up and said, we needed to do this. And as we look at this thing, I'm sitting here saying, we have a policy here on the board that I thought was fair and just in reference to what we need. And I appreciate you guys listening to us, but I'm telling you what happened here. I'm from here. I was on both sides of this thing. And for us to water it down and say, well, these guys did this and this guy did that, I can tell you who was over there and who stood up for all this stuff. So.
But it took the entire board and
it took
the
the
leader.
entire board, but it took one leader.
And that's why the name would be Dunwoody, Anderson, Lane, and
Okay.
Turner Building.
And when I look at it, the epicenter of this entire thing, where the fighting and all of that stuff took place, was over at Forest High School. There was a lot of education. There was a lot of staff development that went on at that particular center over there. There was a lot of things that went on in order for this community to really get in tune with what was actually occurring. So when I look at it, and my goal was not to bring this up without having some discussion with folk, but I would like, if we ought to talk about this stuff, I would like to make a motion that the Staff Development Center at the Old Forest High School be named at the Robert Mack Dunwoody Educational Complex, because there was a lot of education going there. For you guys that want to know about education, I walked those halls when all this stuff was going on. I walked this, I was over there when it came over there to stand up. So when I see this and us watering it down, don't do that. Okay, now, let's get back to what we have on the table here. We have a motion that you want to change it.
I will
you wanna
withdraw
add
my
to it.
motion if you feel that strongly about it, Mr. James.
I did.
I'll withdraw it.
I feel like we've spent a lot of time on this, and Ms. Boynton has worked long and hard. We've all had numerous discussions during our work sessions, and it looks good to me the way it is, Ms. Boynton.
Ms. Stacy, I want to say, I heard you, and I can feel where you're coming from, and I definitely feel where you're coming from, Mr. James. Namely, I was a student there, young, but I was a student at that time, and from what I understand, because my mother was a teacher at the time, Mr. Dunwoody played a major role in smoothing things out in the Black community. But I heard you say you had some concerns that it wouldn't be limited, that the schools itself, I think our policy defines it differently, that the schools itself will still remain, so that the current policy for naming school would be wrapped in the hands of our policy, how it is. But facilities such as the library, the media, the football, fields, all those
So
things.
in this policy, it's 10 years on.
Okay.
Can you clear that up for me?
It's 5 years.
It's 5 years. The new policy says, it reads, to eliminate spontaneous or emotional response, nominations will not be considered until 5 years after the service, historical or cultural significance, contribution, or death of an individual meeting the criteria as set by the board.
Okay, the way I interpreted it was that if you met like 4 or 5 criteria, several criterias, maybe I misunderstood the reading of it so long, that then we could waive the 5 years.
No.
Mr. James?
Well,
Then how-
if you read this, you don't have to waive it. It says 5 years after the, quote, service is performed, which means it could be
Not the day.
the
Okay.
day after they leave the school system, because if it was 5 years.
Associated with the school program for at least 10 years. That might be where you
Right.
got the 10 from.
You know, I
The
just,
original policy
Okay,
is that there's the
I'm
first
breaking up
instance
here.
is 10 years.
I'm breaking up. Mr. Crawford, you still had the floor.
well, it just, that 5 years doesn't, I don't see how it deals with the spontaneous emotions, because it means that the minute somebody retires from this school system, heaven forbid they would die, but let's say they retire, you literally could have a request to name something, after them because they had done a service 5 years before. The reason why we put the 10-year in there was to make sure that there was a chance to truly reflect, and after 10 years, if there was still this commitment, there's still desire, then we could consider it at that time. I don't have a problem changing it to, if you don't like 10 years, I don't have a problem changing it to the 5. But I think it should be 5 after the person either leaves the school system or passes away, and I prefer the pass away chance, just because of the fact that it would definitely deal with the emotional issue. I also have a problem with, and I think we're going to get ourselves into a lot of problems with this, for a minimum of $100,000, but it really doesn't set up any, except some vague criteria that they have done some type of community service. And I think every one of us have seen reports where, and this has been mostly in colleges because they're the ones who've kind of pioneered this, where they have taken money and then something came out about that person, and they regretted that person's name is on that building. In fact, I think there's a problem, happened a couple of years ago with the University of Florida. They took a big chunk of change, named a building after somebody, and come to find out this person was indicted. So it was, I think we're for the dollar sign, we're looking, we're getting ourselves into areas where I just don't think we should be on it. And also, let me express something that I have been repeatedly told by people in the community since we have, and I've been on the board, and we've named 2 facilities. One was a school, one was an auditorium after somebody, and the people just said, just don't do that again. They said, in the cases of schools, they said, let them have their own personality. Let them, come up with one of these names that you come up like we have with, Saddlewood and South Ocala, things like that. Have it more reflect the area that the school is in, and then let that school build its personality from that. Don't saddle them with somebody that they may have to live up to, that criteria, because if they don't, then they feel like they've failed, and that's what some people have told me over and over and over, and so I have some real fundamental problems with this.
We're going to get into huge trouble with this is going to be very controversial boardroom with people coming in here wanting to name names, and then we vote for one person, that's not deceased, and then another person comes. I can just see so much controversy coming out of this because I had to read the policy 3 or 4 times to understand it. It's long. I think we've put a lot of consideration into it, and I know what kind of brought the whole thing about. We're looking for a window to jump through to recognize individuals, and in my opinion, it's individuals plural, who had a major historical input into something that happened in our community. And I think we are going to end up with people filing through here. And here we are, we're asking the community to consider a referendum, and we've now gone into the business of recognizing adults in the school system in the county, not the children in the county. And, I agree with Mr. Crawford that the schools should have their own personality. Let me give you an example of that, Mr. James. I got a feel there. I was down. I don't remember. This was many, many years ago. I don't remember if I was in Lakeland or I think I was in Lakeland when I was doing something with some parent activist stuff way back in the 90s, and we had the event at Child's Elementary. I think it was an elementary school. And and we were making jokes because some of them were conservative, some were, you know, some were not. And the parents argued about whether the school should be named after this politician or that politician. And it just caused controversy that the kids were in the school. And I agree, Mr. Crawford, that the school itself should have that. Now, naming wings or naming cafeterias or naming like staff development wing or something like that, I think that's a different situation. I don't have a problem with buildings, not necessarily the school itself, but you know, departments and that type of thing. But I have a real problem with a policy where we got 50 schools that people be coming here wanting us to rename them, and I just don't believe that's what I'm elected to do.
Okay, and again, let me just chime in for just a little bit. You're right, that's what you are elected to do, to say no. And I appreciate that. The thing I'm gonna say to you, and it was so eloquently put here a few minutes ago by the chairman of the Tea Party, that we are about educational buildings and things. Guys, when I sit here and talk about a center where teachers had to learn how to teach, teachers had to learn how to teach classes and how to develop race relationships and all of that thing, then that's what an educational complex should be about. And then you have the history of the person that really pioneered that type of activity here. So when I look at the naming of the center over here, that to me that's a no-brainer, because that's what happened back in 1964. Well, it actually was happening a little bit longer than that. But when I look at what we're talking about here, if you take the 5 years or 10 years, you can't change history here. And if you want to teach history, you can tell them about B-Wing up there. You know, you have kids over there, B-Wing, A-Wing. Okay, right there where we used to have this little alley where everybody, you know about it, where I had to stand in there because we had to get kids to go through without getting hit. And the teachers had to teach and do things. So there's a lot here. So when I look at that building and look at what occurred there, come on, guys, that's a no-brainer.
Okay,
now let's move on to the issue. We have to vote on Ms. Boynton's 8.5. And
it's too much.
I'm gonna call the question on it. Okay.
Right.
I will call the question. All in favor of School Board Policy 8.5, 8.54, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Please enter your votes.
I can't even get my screen up. So.
You got it in?
We're getting there.
Yes, because I couldn't get back after going over and reading the,
I'm trying to pull it up.
Okay.
Just, sorry.
just vote no for me. It's saying the login has failed, so I'm trying to get back on.
Same.
Does that happen to you?
Well, it says my battery's low, but I'm plugged in. You know what?
You plugged in?
Okay.
I did that last week.
We can vote at the.
Okay, who cannot chime in? Mine is having problems for some reason.
You're in. You're okay.
Okay, what do we have?
Ms. Seeley, would you like me to vote for you?
Yeah, if you would, please.
In the affirmative?
Yes, yes.
They already voted. Did mine come through?
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
the motion passed 3-2.
Still not
What I will be doing, just so you all will know where I am, I will be coming back to the board at another time. And I would like to bring before the board a motion that the Staff Development Center at the Old Forest High School be named the Robert McDunwoody educational complex. And that's, and I appreciate you guys, and I hope y'all understand that when I say this to you, I was here, guys. And this stuff went on, and we need to talk about it, and this is where it happened. So that's what this is about to be. Okay. Thank you. And let's move on. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of item C20, which has been withdrawn entirely from the agenda, and item C24, which has been placed on the regular agenda for discussion?
So moved.
Second.
It was moved by Mr. Crawford and second by, who's that? Ms. Boynton. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Where are we?
The results of that. Announce that.
Okay, are we,
No,
Stacy
hold- hold-
and Mrs.
it's,
It's, do you need me to vote for you?
yeah,
In the affirmative,
yes.
both in the affirmative. Okay.
go
It's
on.
a consent agenda. Passes.
Okay, the motion passed 5-0. May I have a motion to approve the service agreement with Crown Consulting Group Incorporated? May I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
It was moved by Ms. Boynton, second by Mrs. Ely. Ms. Stacy, you withdrew this item.
Yes, I did. In reading this agreement, I had some concerns. I spoke with Mrs. Boston Ellis about it today, and probably I'll need someone from purchasing and maybe
Okay.
Mrs. Boston Ellis to help me understand the, my concern, talk to me about my concerns about this.
Okay, Mr. Superintendent, you have anything?
Well, Mrs. Stacy has spoken to these people. We appreciate the telephone call ahead of time. And Rick Collins is here, our purchasing agent, along with Teresa Boston Ellis. They can address these concerns, or I believe they can address the concerns that Mrs. Stacy brought forward. And Ms. Stacy, if you want to address them specifically, or let them give you a description about what our plan is?
Okay, I've had some concerns in the community, and I've had some contacts about this, some vendors. And my concern is that we're going into this contract for $1, and which basically they're gonna do this service for free, which we know that's not the case. How are these people going to be paid? How much are they gonna be paid? And I've gone to their website. Well, I'll let you answer those things for me.
Okay, well, really what it is the main gist of what we will use Crown for will be the reverse auction process, which is another procurement tool that we will have in place. A reverse auction is very similar to our bids we do now. We will place a bid. We'll use our document for that. Crown will help us locate vendors to participate in the bid and contact them and let them know about our bids. We will bring the bids in. If everyone that bids fills out the documents correctly, supplies all the needed information, and meets the specifications of the bid, then they will be approved to participate in the reverse auction, which is an online auction tool where they can submit their pricing. They see where they rank in the process. They don't know who they're bidding against, and they don't know the pricing of the other vendors. But they see where, if there were 8 bidders, if somebody came in and they placed their bid, it shows them that they're in 6th place. Well, that gives them an opportunity to place a lower bid to try to win our business. That drives very good competition, and I feel like we could do extremely well on certain bids by utilizing this tool. Crown will be paid by the awarded vendor based on a percentage of the bid amount.
What percentage is that?
Well, it may be different for each bid. I would think somewhere probably 3%.
Is that definite?
I don't have the document in front of me because I was out of town all day today, but I believe, do you have the copy
I
of
could
it?
not find the amount anywhere in this document.
Okay, yeah, 1 to 3%.
So basically, our vendors have to pay this company 1 to 3% of the final bill. Say, you know, it could be a very large bid, like a $600,000 contract. So we've got our bidders on their bidding, and then at the end, they have to give this company 1 to 3%, but yet we don't know how much. But yet we're signing a contract with him that this will be the case, and I'm not really comfortable with this contract because it's open-ended. Another thing that concerns me is on the attorney fees, Mrs. Morris. This is where I need help from you. In this contract, let me see if I can find it. Basically, it talks about the, I got my notes down, I can go to easier. Almost like a blanket indemnification to this company. And I have a problem morally, you know, with normally, do we give total blanket indemnification? I can't say the word. Indemnification. The reason I'm asking this question, Mrs. Morris, is that over at Marion MTI, a year ago, there were some teachers that contacted me. They had gone to a some type of a fair for like chemistry items and stuff, and they were able to get some free things back. And it seems like I'm thinking back a year ago. I haven't gone back in my notes on that, but it was something like a free $2,500 item. But in getting that chemistry item that they were trying to get for the school free, the company that was giving it to them for free did not want to be held responsible in any way. And the school was told that we do not sign contracts that give this type of blanket, no liability, no, you know, absolutely no responsibility to them. This contract here, Mrs. Morris, basically says that this is what we are doing. I have a problem with giving a consultant a contract for when we refuse to give one of the schools a contract with holding, you know, holding them totally free of responsibility. There is a note on this contract that they acknowledge that possibly indemnification by the school board may not even be enforceable under Florida law. They don't really know. If that's the case, then we could have bought that, we could have gotten those free items that the MTI wanted, if Florida law doesn't allow that. But I'm also concerned that basically our vendors will have to pay to play. I don't like that.
Well, they will be able to calculate that cost into their bid amount.
And then the taxpayers pay it.
They will know that amount up front.
So it's, see, basically, are we building a business, a consulting company off the backs of our vendors? I guess is a huge question that I have for you. Are we allowing, I have gone to this website, by the way. I want to know other school districts that are using this system that they have.
I believe Hernando is in the middle of a bid currently. Pasco County has done 2 recently. West Palm.
Okay, I've gone to their website, and this is not a large company. They have 15 employees. And we don't know if they're even full-time employees. I just happen to know there's 15. That's because I point blank called them and asked them yesterday how many they had. So it's not really this huge organization. And what concerns me is I went to their website. What this company has been doing, according to their website, and I verified the address to the website, is they have been providing employee benefits like to Pasco County, and there were several counties, maybe Hernando was one of them, I don't even remember. I think there was 2 school systems where they set up like, health centers, like fitness center, health center, or something like that. And I could not even find procurement anywhere until I hit on consultants and then found, you know, procurement. Clicked on that and there was a little blurb about it. They had no testimonials for anything like that. None of their customers had written anything. Now, they're fitness people that they had provided some fitness stuff for. So basically my concern is that I would really like for us to table this tonight and maybe talk about it and maybe let Mrs. Morris examine the contract a little closer, because we are giving them basically an open check. We don't even know, if we sign this contract with them, they're telling us they have to be held harmless for anything that happens, but on top of that, we don't even know what we're signing for them to get. If we sign this contract, they could charge our vendors 10%. It's not written anywhere. There's no amount in this contract.
That will be established in each bid document, the amount.
It doesn't say that.
Right, well, the contract is mainly for consulting services. If I have a question regarding procurement, that's a tool for me to call up and utilize and get an opinion, or you know, has this come across, has this happened in another district? You know, it's a source that I could call and seek information.
Who have we been calling in the past for the last 50 years?
I haven't been there that long, ma'am. I mean, I rely on other districts, other district purchasing agents for questions, but I believe, you know, each bid that we do, which we're not going to do, there won't be a whole lot of bids that we utilize them for, but for certain items where we feel we can get a great cost savings by utilizing this tool, we would try to use it.
Okay, item number 5 on this contract, Mrs. Morris, says retainer and transaction fees. Crown is requesting from the school board a retainer fee of $1. This sounds like a real good deal for them. They're about willing to take us on for free, it looks like. The transaction fees for each of the events awarded by the school board shall be paid by the awarded vendors. It does not say how much they're gonna charge our awarded vendors.
I think typically it's between 1% to 3%, as Rick has stated, based on the volume of it. If you can think about our normal bid process, people submit the bid document and they include their price, and that's the price. By using electronic bidding, which that's what this is all about, we are hoping to get a lower price from these bidders, and if we don't, we can stop the process. But that is our intention, is to save money. Right now, we're almost paying, you know, we're paying more than we think that we would have to pay for this particular bid that we'd like to pilot this on. We're paying more than we think. We think we can get a better price.
Okay.
So what Crown Consulting is doing is providing a service to help us do electronic bidding, which is online bidding.
Why do we need them?
Because this is the service that we provide. We don't have the software, the web, to do our own electronic bidding. So they are providing a service to help us do this bid. If it is not beneficial to the district, Ms. Stacy, you rest assured, it won't happen.
Well, I don't doubt that. Put your trust in. Well, first of all, there's absolutely no dollar figure. I'm not gonna put my trust in a contract that doesn't even say how much these people are gonna charge us. It's not written anywhere.
But just like any other bid that we do, if the prices are too high, then all of them are rejected.
No, I'm talking about Crown themselves, this consulting firm.
Okay.
There is, Mrs. Morris, do you see what I'm talking about? I need some help over here.
Okay, I want to recognize Mr. Crawford.
Ms. Ellis, I agree with Mrs. Stacy on most of the points she's made. Let's concentrate on the two that I have the greatest concern on, and let's deal with how much is going to be charged to the people that are trying to do business with the school system, because it means that they're going to factor that back into the cost of their thing. I don't understand why these people aren't willing to put an amount in there. If you sign an agreement with one of these service providers for handling credit cards for your business, you know at that point what you are going to be charged for processing each of those credit card charges. I believe that anybody doing business with us should know that they're going to be charged an additional 1% or an additional 2% or additional 3% or whatever it may be.
The actual vendors you're talking about?
Yes, and not by bid. No, ma'am, not by bid. It needs to be a flat across the board. And what worries me about it is that they're going to be very selective, and they're going to find ones that we really want to do business with that particular company, and they're going to make sure that that company pays a great deal for the privilege of doing, business with us. I also agree on the point that Ms. Stacy was trying to make about the indemnification. I don't know how many times we have had arguments about the fact that we just don't do that. We do not provide legal protection for anybody. It is their problem. And in this, it does not say, it says, to the extent authorized by law, the school board hereby agrees to defend, indemnify, and hold harmless Crown for any and all loss, damages, liability. It doesn't say that we've committed. It means that they can go out and do anything that they want, and we're going to pay for it. And that is just plain wrong. If they're not willing to stand behind their mistakes, then I don't know whether we should be doing business with them at all. And so I have a problem. I'd either like to see this thing defeated or table it and let's look about it.
Regarding the not holding them responsible, if you also look further up, because I can't find anything on this website that indicates to me these people have been doing this very long. Do you know how long they've been doing it? Because their website doesn't look like they're even doing it at all.
I believe it's been within the last year. It's
well, the company's not very old.
This is a process that's been used by the state of Florida, not particularly Crown. Reverse auctions have been used by the state of Florida, and like I said, numerous other districts. But it's fairly straightforward.
Here's how I feel we could get into trouble. It says that item number 3, they can assist in the development and review of all bid documents, invitation to bid, request for proposal, invitation to negotiate and reverse auction, contract documents, and scheduling the soliciting dates. Will assist in recruiting viable vendors and everything. What concerns me is that, I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but in government, we have to be very, very careful of even being accused of bid rigging. And if a company is, let's don't use Crown, let's say Stacy Consulting, went in and started a process where I was gonna help assist with bid documents, and what I could actually do is design the draft bid documents that would meet my brother-in-law's company over here that sold copy machines that had a certain specification. All right, and then get sued. Then the government entity could get sued because this company designed the bid documents, basically bringing in not very many people into it, being very careful who they brought in. Now they're saying, if something like that happened, I'm saying in my Stacy contract here, if I did something like that and the school system got sued because of it, I'm not responsible.
It's our bid document.
It's still our bid document.
Our template.
I could provide it to them to review for guidance to see if they would have any improvements, but ultimately it's my call.
I don't like our vendors having to pay to play. I really don't. I believe that this company, I'm concerned that I don't want our vendors to help a company build itself. And I have my own perception, whether it's real or not. I don't want a company to generate itself and then develop itself off the backs of our vendors, because I don't even know how much we're paying them because it's not written in here.
Okay. Mr. Superintendent.
Mr. Chairman and board members, and thank you, Mr. Collins and Ms. Boston Ellis. Tonight, we attempted to bring to you an opportunity that was given to us by the state, approved by the state, and is used by other districts. No, it may not have a long track record. The reverse bidding process is perfectly legal, it's perfectly moral, it's ethical. Mrs. Morris will have to address some of your legal concerns, and I hear you on those. We're trying to do something that we think has the potential to save the district a considerable amount of dollars. And at the same time, we understand that we can always withdraw that request or that bid. We don't have to accept that, and we want to pilot it one time. So I guess I'm asking for the opportunity, it's not personal, but the opportunity to pilot this program to see if we like doing this, to see if it benefits us. And that's why we brought this to you tonight.
Well, Mr. Superintendent, it's all well and good to pilot a program, but when you've got this many holes in it, it doesn't seem logical to go forward. I don't understand why there isn't at least, I agree with Ms. Stacy on this, and I'm glad she brought it up, why there isn't at least a cap of the amount that they could charge. Because if we get into a situation where we have a one-source vendor, and we do have that sometimes, they could realize that situation. We have to do business with that vendor because we have to have that particular product. And so maybe the rate is 10%.
We would not be using.
Then how, but we have to have that product. If there's
no,
nobody.
we would not be using that particular firm.
We would
though,
not
for that.
use the
You can't get it from anybody else. We have those situations.
We
all the
I
time.
understand that. We would not use the reverse auction process for that.
I will.
Okay.
I'll bet dollars to donuts you'll
Okay,
be in here
let me-
telling us different.
Let me try and put it, Ms. Boynton, you had some.
I simply agree with Ms. Stacy on the and Mr. Crawford on the transaction fee. It really has to be defined. So I would like to entertain a motion to table it and have our attorney address our concerns and maybe bring this back to another meeting.
Right. Ms. Stacy, one of the things that she did say is she would like to see this table. Okay. Mr. Crawford, before.
I'll make the motion to table.
Okay, I wanted to give it to Ms. Stacy.
Okay, Ms. Stacy can do it and I'll
I
second
make
it.
the motion to table this item.
Okay.
And I'll second.
Motion is second by Mr. Crawford. So,
I'd just like to be clear what your concerns are so we can address them.
I need to know how much money.
And that's the only concern that you have.
The identification, it frightens me to no end because
Well, that has been reviewed by Ms. Morris. This whole contract has.
But see, we wouldn't let a school do it. We wouldn't let
You
Marion
know,
Technical do it.
and I have sat through, in all the years that I've been on the board, I have heard repeatedly, in fact, I wish I had $1 for every time I've heard, well, we don't do that in a contract where we indemnify somebody for errors. And all of a sudden, now we are gonna do it. So I'm not willing to vote for this unless we do lock that down where there's a problem that they have caused, it's their problem, and we are not going to get legally involved in it. If we do something wrong, that's a whole different story. They do something wrong, they better have the lawyers.
And one more concern, Mr. James. You're saying we can save all this money.
There's an opportunity to
Okay, but if the company puts a charge to the vendor for doing business for him to pay to play, then the taxpayers basically pay, that fee that the vendor has to pay, because the vendor's not gonna pay it, he's gonna pass it on to us.
We would just like an opportunity to show you that we could probably potentially save.
Well, let's get the contract straight then.
okay, this is what I have on the board.
Can I address that situation? In a normal bid for widgets, we say we want X amount of widgets, and everybody bids a certain price. I'm tasked with getting the lowest and best price for what we buy in the district. If we have 3 companies that bid, let's say, the lowest company might bid a figure, but they might leave a whole bunch of money out there that they could have gone a lot lower on, but they didn't have the competition or what have you, and therefore we end up paying a certain high dollar amount because they were the lowest bidder in this. In a reverse auction process, they see where they rank, which drives tremendous competition, and it gets it down to where they know what their low dollar amount is for that item, and they know what they cannot sell it for less. So
I got all that.
Okay.
I got all that, but Mr. James, we would not allow Forest High School, we paid out of our till, or Forest High School's till, for these teachers to go to some type of a seminar. By going to that seminar, they were eligible for something for free that would have cost taxpayers $2,500.
we would not let them buy it because this bowl or whatever, this science project thing, the company that was giving it to them wasn't holding, didn't want to be held responsible for this item. So they couldn't get it for free. Last I heard, I don't think they ever got it. And I'm not going to give a company more, give them something out of my goodness of my heart that we wouldn't give one of our high schools.
Okay, now what we have is that we have a motion to table this on the board, on the floor. All in favor of?
May I add one thing to that, sir? May we insert a date, table that until the April the 8th meeting? That would provide us the opportunity.
Okay, we'll table it to April the 8th.
Thank you.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
We don't have C-24 on here. We don't. Wait a minute,
The motion was tabled to April 8th. May I have a motion to approve the following?
Excuse me, sir.
What do we got? 5-0.
Yes, sir, thank you.
May I have a motion to approve the following donation? $1,125 to Bellevue High School from Pilot of Ocala. $3,000 to Dunelm Middle School from the Beverly Lemon family. $2,500 to East Marion Elementary School from their business partner, Ocala Specialty Hardware and Installation Incorporated via the Public Education Foundation. $1,500 to Forest High School from the Market of Marion. $1,010 to Fort King Middle School from Stephen and Kathleen Simpson. $1,000 to K-12 Academic Services from Laverne Hart Vascular Institute. $1,200 to Marion County Public Schools Homeless Needy Children Program from Spruce Creek CC Horseshoe Association. $1,000 to Vanguard High School from the Indian Association Cultural Education Center of North Central Florida. $1,000 to Vanguard High School from Classic Mile. May I have a motion and a second?
So moved. Second.
It was moved by Mrs. Ely, second by Mrs. Boynton. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, Ms. Stacy, will you thank audience?
I sure will. And I'm sorry, I just put a cough drop in my mouth. I have a little problem tonight with my coughing, but I want to thank the community. It's just amazing what the people in our community do for many of our public schools. And that's, I guess, why they're called public schools. We're supported by the public. But some people step one step further and give individually and give their businesses give. They're our business partners. It is just amazing to me. It's great to be an American. I just don't know if people, and I don't believe that people in other parts of the world are as charitable as we are. I believe that these types of things show me what America was founded on. It was founded on doing for others. We helped one another when we began, and we're still helping one another today. And I want to thank the community for continuing on that process. Thank you.
Thank you. Meeting reminders. The next administrative and briefing and work session is scheduled for Tuesday, March 4th, 2014 at 9 a.m. The purpose of this work session is to receive part 1 of the 2014-2015 staffing plan. There is also an administrative briefing and work session scheduled for Thursday, March 6th, 2014 at 9 a.m. The purpose of the work session is to receive part 2 of the 2014-2015 staffing plan. Board members, concerns, and commitments. We'll start with Ms. Stacy.
I think I'll just pass tonight. Aren't y'all happy?
Okay. Ms. Ely.
I wanted to just share with the public, if the Golden Apple program is still on public television. I don't know, Mr. Christian, is this on there still? I would love for our parents and students to see the Golden Apple.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, we were not able to go live this past Friday night, and we had some other issues with some of our equipment. But the Golden Apple, the 24th annual Golden Apple Gala, will be on the Marion Education channel starting this Friday night and Saturday night at 7 p.m.
Okay,
Sundays
great.
at 2 p.m. throughout the month of March.
Great.
It is also available right now on our YouTube channel,
Okay.
MCPS Media, without a space.
Okay, great, thank you. So, parents and public, if you haven't had the opportunity to see it yet, please view it. It's a beautiful spectacle of great teaching, and our, I believe it was Howard Middle performing, the choir performing. That was great. And I want to congratulate David Steffi again. He's the Osceola teacher who teaches probably one of the toughest classes in our public schools, where he teaches intensive reading. And these are the children that didn't do well on FCAT the previous year. They don't get to go to any kind of special or any kind of extra classes. They have to have an additional hour of reading each day. So his job is to try to make kids love reading. And they hadn't loved it before they come to his class, but I bet you, just from talking to the kids, that they are in love with reading, because he's a fantastic teacher. So thank you, Mr. Steffi. I also wanted to congratulate the elementary schools who are embracing the National Honor Society in 5th grade, and I was at Legacy SAC meeting last week, and they're one of the schools that are doing it. And I think it's great to just really showcase kids who are making academic strides and doing a great job, other than just basing it on FCAT or report cards. These are the children who are future Honor Society students in high school. So if you're an elementary school principal and you're still interested, I know that there's ways that you can possibly include a National Honor Society in your elementary school next year. Thank you.
Ms. Boynton.
I have two things. One is I just want to, from earlier, I wanted to remind everybody that the MEA is having the Read Across Marion at the Ocala Public Library, the main library, on Saturday from 10 to 12, and I hope to see you all there. Another thing is I missed the Golden Apple and award, and it was because Mr. James and I decided to, go to 2 events. So I went to one, and he went to the other. And at this time, I would like to present to Mr. James the award. Bob James. Mr. Bobby James has been inducted into the Marion County Black Archives. He was the first African-American to be elected on the Marion County School Board, as well as the first African-American male to be elected countywide. So congratulations, Mr. James, on your award, and
thank you, Mr. Boynton.
An honor of working with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Morris. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Crawford.
I had nothing. Don't worry about it.
I got so excited I forgot about you, Mr. Crawford.
You're short, we could get missed.
Okay, you're in that corner over there. Mr. Tomlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I mentioned to you last week that we were participating in the Big Spring Science Fair. I'm pretty excited to announce to you that in the middle school or junior division, Marion County had 9 first-place ribbons, and we'll be sending 5 projects on to the state competition. In the senior division from high schools, we likewise had 9 first place there. We're sending 6 projects to the state competition, and one of those projects from a Vanguard High School student is more than likely to be accepted in the international competition. It was such a good project, and it's pretty impressive. I could not pronounce most of the words on those posters. Last weekend, a really fantastic event at our Silver River State Park and our museum, a NAP-in, or it's a KNAP, where they produce stone tools, and there's a great fair out there on Friday, a school day. We had over 780 students participate in a day-long in-service activity up there, and then on Saturday and Sunday, we had over 1,400 visitors visit the state park and our museum. You heard earlier this evening some comments about the value-added model. I have forwarded to you the information that I have received from the state and made access to you, and the documents that we've also provided for our teachers and our school community. There's one other document that will be forthcoming, and that is a question and answer or a frequently asked questions from a parent perspective. And so we'll be getting that document out in the next day or so. And also, of course, we're running this week the Southeastern Youth Fair. If you choose to go tonight after our board meeting, and we do have a little bit of a time because you'll have the opportunity to get out there for the grand steer auction. Keep your hands in your pocket unless you have your checkbook with you. It's a fantastic affair where we have hundreds, if not thousands, of children participating in that. Then, Mr. Chairman, I have a question of the board. We had a work session on our student code of conduct on February the 6th. At our last work session, I gave you some additional information on February 20th about some issues you wanted addressed at that time. And this code of conduct is scheduled for final approval on April 22nd. That is already scheduled. And my question of you is, do you need or want an additional opportunity or time to cover any other needs? No one has brought any of those needs to me, or that's just a request that I'm asking whether if you need to do that. Board?
We just got the code of conduct. We just got it kind of late. We're not gonna have another workshop on it?
We don't have one scheduled. I'm asking if you have a need. I mean, I provided what I thought you wanted thus far, and if you needed anything else.
If we get digging into it and share it around the community, and we want to have a workshop, we can ask for that, just because right now we don't.
Well, there's the issue of advertising that we're going to have topics, and I can schedule one.
Let's go ahead and schedule one.
Okay.
And if we don't need much time, then.
If we don't need it,
Then my recommendation is for April the 3rd then.
Okay.
And Ms. Chuley, Ms. Flock-Kettle will make sure that's advertised appropriately.
Thank you, Mr. James.
And then finally, one thing that I received after 5 o'clock this afternoon, I received an email from Governor Rick Scott's office. And they are announcing 2014 Black History Month student and teacher contest winners. And I skim these things very quickly, but always look for something for it has to do with Marion County. And I'm noticing that in the senior high division, Javon, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Latson from Bellevue High School was a student essay contest winner. They had 3 statewide, an elementary, a middle school, and a high school. So Javon won the high school. And here's what this statement says. The following student essay winners, 1 elementary, 1 middle, and 1 high school student, will receive a 4-year Florida College Plan scholarship provided by the Florida Prepaid College Foundation. Wow. I haven't even had an opportunity to contact this young man, but if it's appropriate and if he agrees, I'd love to have him here sometime, perhaps to even read his essay to us at some point in time. Yeah. That's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Just to remind the board, and I would say this, but I hope everybody take where I'm going with this. Guys, we have a tremendous opportunity to do some neat things, and we are doing some neat things. We are really doing some neat things. Every board member have a strength that they bring to the table. But what I would like to get from this board is that the same thing that I sent you a little note about is that we are together because when we put it out there, we really have a good message that we present. And this is what I would like for us to do when we look at when we bring something together. We have our differences, but then we come with a unified front when we are dealing with issues and dealing attorneys and all of that stuff, because it's important that we do that. And I think we're moving in the right direction. And I think we're beginning to make sure that our board, our employees have an opportunity to do things for themselves, so that we can communicate with each other, because we are doing some neat things. And I just want you to know this. And when I say this, we are going into the transitional part, and I have said this a couple of times, and I keep reminding us that we are doing some things. Now, we're looking at the transition into our attorneys, and we're looking at in-house versus an outside counsel. This is a part that we've been wanting to do for a period of time. We're looking at what we want to do with our new contract. And I think, Mr. Crawford, at one time, you said that you would be pulling quite a few of those different things as they come before the board. so that we can take a look at them and make sure that we are doing the right thing. Do you remember that, Stacy? Okay, Ms. Stacy, you're doing what we want you to do in terms of pulling these things. I have no problem with it. Still would like a little more time, but.
You don't get everything you like.
Okay, but the thing is, this is what I think we should be trying to do. I think we should be trying to move in a direction where all of us provide a unified front. And again, the city came before us today. Evidently, we had a miscommunication where we didn't get the letter that we sent to them. But that's just part of the growth process. And I want to make sure that all of us are on the same page when we do that. Now, let me talk about something that's very important to me. Our youngsters out there. We're getting close to the end of the school year. And it's time for us to remind our kids that there are scholarships out there, but they need to apply for them. I read in the paper just yesterday about an art scholarship that the villages have in reference for art students, and I forgot to mention that. The Milling Foundation has always been a pet peeve of mine because we have over $3 million that's there for students that are accepted into the University of Florida. They can go either by the the College of Central Florida and to the university, or they can go to Santa Fe, but they're still eligible for that money. And I would love for our counselors at this point in time to really push these kids to really look for these dollars out there, because they are there. I just received a scholarship from the Florida A&M Alumni Association looking for students that want to go to Florida A&M, they want to give scholarships and things like that. And one of the things they said to Mr. James, once they get up there, we will help them if they have problems with light bills and all of that stuff. They need to send us letters and things like that. So this is the point in the year where I'd like to encourage all the parents that are listening to us tonight to make sure that you have your kids scour the scholarship market or live in the guidance department down there, because there's a lot of opportunities there.
Let me add something.
Yes.
The Marion County Gator Club is giving probably 8 scholarships of $2,000 apiece to go to the University of Florida. And all of the scholarships that are given throughout Marion County for every organization, they'll all be recognized in May, the Evening of Excellence. It will be at the MTI Auditorium. So that's an amazing event too, to see how many hundreds of thousands of dollars given to our kids in Marion County for college. So.
Okay, now where are the Seminoles out there?
Well, they haven't been as supportive of scholarships.
Okay, where are the Seminoles? I just wanted to throw that out there. Okay, thank you. Before addressing the expulsion matter, I wish to acknowledge that the board members have received the alternative placements list for students through February 7, 2014. Are there any parents in the audience who wish to speak on behalf of a student regarding a disciplinary matter? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve the expulsion of student JD 14-44, JD 14-45, JD-1446, JD 1447, JD 14-48, JD-14-49, JD 14-50E, JD 14-51, with educational services through the first semester of the 2014-2015 school year. May I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
It was moved by Ms. Boynton and second by Mrs. Ely. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passed 5-0. There being no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
It was moved by Ms. Boynton and second by Ms. Ely. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion passed 5-0. Meeting is adjourned.